My first walk on my own was absolutely heartbreaking. While I was walking, I actually said to myself, this is one of the hardest things you have ever done. It was the most acute pain. It was heartbreaking because it was what he loves. It's just what he loves. And there, I just thought, I'm on my own here, and he should be here, I then walked down and I sat and I looked up at the mountain and I thought, good on you. Good on you, girl. You did that. Graham would be proud of me. His slogan for everything was onward and upward. And he would be saying, that's my girl. I really feel I need to kind of live for him, in a way. Because he'd want that. He really, really would. Graham's dying was such a shock because everything was kind of perfect. He was well, he was on a hike with his mates down the Wild Coast, so happy, a place we've walked 100 times. And then he got to the airport after the 6 days away, and he phoned up and said, can't wait to see you, sweetie pie. I have so much to tell you. And he never came home. And I was preparing the dinner, and I started to get edgy because now it's 6 and I'm working out, look, he's against the traffic. Where is he, And then the phone rang, and a person who was not first language English speaker said his name in a way that clearly he hadn't said his name to her. She was reading it. Are you related to Graham Charnock? And I said, yes, what's wrong? And she said, you need to bring the family, he's collapsed. I drove to the hospital and they rushed me down to the clinic. And the minute I walked in, and there's 3 big burly policemen waiting for me, I just knew. This is it. The huge comfort is he did just die so suddenly. And someone mentioned there was a little bump on his head and he obviously dropped. He didn't even know to put his hand up. And one of the doctor friends that took me out said, Liz, he wouldn't have known what hit him. He had a heart attack, and that's it. That's what I've chosen to believe, and I believe it. For a long time after Graham died, I didn't get a yearning to go back to the studio. It didn't cross my mind. I didn't feel a creative urge or anything. It just wasn't what I was dealing with. And I just visualized and processed the walk Graham did. There was a part of me that was so sad that I hadn't been there with him. So I felt that I knew where he'd been and I knew the views he was looking at and so on. So I just worked on, in an abstract way, I just worked on these scenes of the Wild Coast and imagined I was walking down with him. I wrote little words on it like, I hear you, you whisper to me in the wind and the waves. It's a lonely walk. Sorry. It's a lonely walk without you.
I'll always be with you. But for me, that was my process, and it's nice to look back and see it's not somber, but it makes me feel on some level that I was there, with him.
I do chat to him sometime. I don't believe he's hovering around me or looking out for me, but I feel his presence. I especially feel his presence in nature or on the mountain or hearing a bird sound or something. But for me, it's perfectly natural. If he was here, what would I say to him? I think that I would just see him and tell him that I'm doing the best I can. I miss you. I miss you very painfully at times, but it's not going to get me down. I'm going to keep going. I've only lost Graham a year next month. And according to the way it must be is you wear black in many, many cultures for a year at least, maybe 2. And here I am, I have the pain, but not all the time. There's excitement, there are possibilities. I'm 72. How much longer have I got? Graham said to me not long before he died, God, you're so lucky. You've got 6 years that I don't have. You've got 6 years, because I'm 6 years younger. And he said, just think of what you can do and where you can go. And I was kind of horrified. I said, what do you mean? You fitter than I am? You brighter than I am? You remember the names, I forget them. He said, no, you've got 6 years, Les. And the more I think about it, the more I think, I have got to get out there. It's not going to take away the pain. It's not going to take away 48 years of connection and sharing and having that person always looking out for you and always being there and excited to get together. It's not going to take that away. But I have got to start on my own new adventures. I've got to fill those 6 years. They're my gift. I have been in touch with friends who've lost their husbands. Sometimes 3 years ago, sometimes 4 years ago. And there's no judgment here. There's no judgment. But they haven't moved on into a new space, finding it very difficult to walk out as an individual person. And I totally understand that. But I lie awake at night when I'm feeling excited about something and I think, do I love him less than my friends love their husbands? And maybe I'm selfish. And then I think, how am I selfish? Who doesn't benefit from me making an effort to get back into life? For all my sadness and all those moments when I lean across and he's not there and I come home and something's worrying me about an interaction I might have had and all I want to do is get into my safe space base where Graham is, and we talk about it, and he's there. And as I'm driving home, I think, who is there? You know, I go through all of that. But at the same time, there's that little bubble that comes up that says, yes, take the gift. The other day, my son said something to me, and I think for me, it was one of the best compliments I've ever had. He just said, you know, Mom, when you walk into a room, when you leave the room, everyone feels happier and lighter. And I thought about that, and I thought, that is the most beautiful thing anyone could say. So maybe that's my purpose. I realize that with what's going on in the world, I can make very little impact on a grand scale. But I make a huge impact every day in my life by just my interactions. That's why I'm here. In small ways, giving somebody a moment of light in the day. And that comes very naturally to me because I get as much from it. The beauty is the helping hand. The beauty is what lifts you up. The nature, the space. It's the one thing that kind of stays constant while everything else is changing. But with the beauty comes extreme pain, exquisite pain. It's in the beauty that I feel the missing, and yet it's uplifting. It is a beautiful world.
Thank you so much for watching the story all the way to the end. And a special thank you to all of you on Patreon who help us to make these films. If you want to join us on the journey, please click the link over here, I think. It just wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you.